Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here, doing an audio for you this time, as I've just been through a little bit of a critical illness. I had a fever for a fair few days, and I just didn't want to put that on YouTube. So here's an audio for the month of March, which is the last month of the year / the first month of the year. This is the very exciting time when we get to erase with the power of Pisces and build up super tough and strong with Aries. So here we are at the end of February now, as I'm channeling this for you. So as we would have ended February on the 28th, actually this time, as it is a leap year, there would have been a very, very strange, kind of sad feeling, sulky feeling, and they should have been because, let's try and forgive and forget. And of course, Pisces is a bit of a martyr of the zodiac, and he sometimes doesn't really like things and how they've gone. Sometimes there's regret and a bit of goofiness and a little bit of like, oh, silly me, what was I thinking? If you've made a purchase that was expensive and didn't mean anything, if you've met somebody, fell in love, and then drifted apart and lost something, or, there's a feeling of looseness, loss, depression, being deceived, survival, question of what is it worth, why am I here? These are all very hard yards that sometimes people have gone through in Pisces, and they're these very kind of slow, even stilling moments when we understand why certain hurts are in our lives, why certain wounds cannot be repatched, sometimes why certain people can't be trusted, and we don't really sometimes trust ourselves. We sometimes don't trust our own word. Sometimes we have a certain type of erosion of our own gravity in our life, meaning we don't trust our soul's decisions. Sometimes we don't really care for that which we've done before, but it keeps on repeating. Or we don't understand what for I've allowed or let that person into my life. Why am I doing this to myself? So all of these very, very harsh emotions or lines of thought are very, very true as well. And unfortunately, they don't sort of repeat generally throughout the whole course of our lives, of course, but we can sometimes get a lot, sometimes even done through these lines. Sometimes regret can actually help us balance ourselves out, but it can also be very untrue that people are feeling or thinking, and they could also be fixative. So with this type of time, it's nice to get out of everything that is sort of why, and try to get a little bit more active and stable. And though maybe it feels like it's not the best place, for some people it is actually better to be a little more active and stable than to go through certain type of emotions that may actually be a recurring certain dream log or recurrence of parental karmas and such. So just about balancing all these meanings and emotions, all these thoughts and all these narratives, especially if you have chosen a kind of imaginary way that you believe that your character and this narrative of life is thinking or wishing or feeling. If you have maybe even as a teenager or child made a character that used to get you a lot of attention from your peers, but now you're 30 years old and you shouldn't have to use the character to get attention. So that's the thing, basically, is trying to drift out of certain ill conclusions, ill health, ill wealth, ill possibilities, and trying to make it very smart, because we have patterns in the sign of Pisces. We have Saturn. He should have really already helped us do so much, and he should be really on our side here when it comes to making occasionally massive and very good for you changes when it comes to understanding how not to be triggered, when it comes to understanding how not to be spoiled and not to be unproud, when it comes to noticing where you can't learn anymore, where you're not doing things correctly, when you're not holding yourself up correctly, when you're not sophisticated enough for a job or a situation, or you don't have enough altruism or enough sensitivity to detail when it comes to something that you're doing here. So what I basically feel would probably help a lot of us through during this time is to get very wise and very deep and think in long-term steps. Maybe some of it is very archaic, maybe some of it has thousands of years of generations behind it as to what for certain hunches and hints may be streaming through during Pisces this time. They're very, very deeply archaic and very needed situations, and maybe there are very interesting themes and philosophies and guidelines that could be easily coming through and taking space or taking presidency. So that means that certain soul urges and some of that which we may want to do and be about during this time actually has a very exquisite and very sure and very proud step. So also don't forget that at the end of the day, Snake doesn't just want to torment us with the questions and with the seemingly loose principles suddenly kind of escalating into some very deep teaching and potential sort of illness or trauma. Snake is not just trying to wound you or hurt you. Snake is also about longevity of your lifetime, and it is about your autumn and winter. So it is definitely about getting on with time, with age. It is about aging magnificently. Snake does have to do a lot about what it takes to be a human being in a body, and I suppose she does teach us as to how to preserve and how to make sure that things last the distance, and that you are no longer betrayed by any element or person in your life, and that you're no longer in a situation where you are in harm's way. So this is about preventative medicines. And yes, it is about also having certain groups of friends and having a certain logic about you and your worth and your karma and your hereditary systems and programs and so on and so forth. So it is about a certain type of identity as well. It is about a certain type of law. There is a little bit of crudeness and harshness, as also North Node is coming up to Saturn. So there is a feeling of law and law abiding, or more correct certainty as to who you are, where you're going, where you're from, what is the correct or the more positive, conscious way of doing things from here on out. What is a more eloquent way of stepping through the next window? So we're not just scaling through Pisces like we're swimming through butter. It's not just about pulling in and pulling out. It's not just about this sort of like water of time. It's more like we really need to concentrate and have quite a lot of optimism and probably quite a bit of awareness to do with many things. We need sobriety because usually Pisces doesn't need any of this, but with Saturn and the sign, it's very important to not get too emotional and not to forget ourselves, because sometimes mistakes are not very easy to forgive. They're not very forgivable during this time. And also many brilliant plans and ideas may come to mind, but For people, it is good to also be positive, even though they're very flighty, brisk, happy, crazy, sort of egoic ideas. But there are quite a few of us, I think, that need to really step up, and help our peers. Maybe there's going to be a lot of adulting to do for some people. Maybe some people are trying to be even more adult or more certain than they really truly are within themselves. And it's about freeing the psyche from debris of the past and not putting yourself in harm's way, and also using intuition and reality in a nice, fresher way, and managing the worlds masterfully, So I already feel that with the last batch of by the sign readings, which are on Patreon, if you like, have a look, there was definitely a feeling that some signs had a very deep connection with life, and it was a very deep jolt forward for some, where they just knew how they're going to do things, and it was just like, I'm just going to do this, and I know exactly who I am here, and here is just how, here's how, I know exactly how. And it's nice to feel this jolt of brisk inertia and just wisdom for some, and for certain people it's still not quite there. But there's no need to worry if you do not have it. Some people are going to be quite ingenious and industrious during this particular time. Though I always say in Pisces, the more tired and kind of washed away, not necessarily washed away, and not participatory you are, like if you just don't participate in just everything, it usually helps you grow very fast. If people participate in just about anything, they mix with just about anyone, it doesn't necessarily make you a happier person. It may make things strange, but it may not necessarily make things happy. So, it's your choice how you do it. I know that some people can't experience that. I understand that some people can't sit in the room by themselves for like more than 20 minutes without having to watch something on their phone or look at the TV or something. But certain people can actually stay alone and can be quite awake to the moment and not lose consciousness, which is rare these days. But some people, they don't even like parties, but they show up just because it is really, really hard to see themselves feel empty by themselves, which is probably just a lot of ego. If someone cannot handle being by themselves, it's a sign of, it's like a mental conundrum. So there's need to be quite a lot more than one is, and that's possibly fine, which is probably the disease on the planet today, like cannot handle to be oneself, so must escape, must evolve through another's action or word. And that's absolutely fine. It's true. If that's how it goes sometimes for people, that's okay. But it is good to also sometimes be intimidated by that. If you want, you can have a look at that specific trait during this month. If you have these traits coming through where you can't believe how you're feeling, you can't actually detect what you're feeling, and if anybody asks, you're like, yeah, I'm fine, yeah, it's okay, I'm fine, but you don't actually understand how to look at you or feel you, if there's anything callous or strange or egoic, sort of hiding somewhere. It's actually a really interesting month to heal that. It's a good time to look at the internal soul urges, the internal sort of flowering of one's soul and one's own innocence and sentimentality, and how one is structured as a spirit, and to just like feel what one is, and not to feel so obliged also to a lot of other people, and how to just feel niche and kind of in the background sometimes, and to feel fine that one can be anonymous and one can like sleep it off sometimes, You don't have to be in a mode of any kind of hero or any kind of savior of the people, and you never really had to be in some kind of prophecy book. Nobody really has to do anything. There's no real point of looking at the purpose as a savior or some kind of maestro. Like, there's nobody that needs to do that or be that. Nobody needed to ever be that. These are fairy tales from olden times, so these are all old cults, spiritual war cults. So it never mattered. It doesn't matter. We don't need to be manic to survive. We don't have to wage war on different tribes to live our lives. So that's not the choice. It's no point of being puffy and sticking up there and showing off, and it's a very bad world out there because partially of that type of rulership-based kind of behavior, and people don't necessarily like anyone for that. Just that we get told, especially boys get taught to do that, which is just another vulgarity. But like what basically want to make eventually is want to make something solid from who you are and what is true for you, So these are just social, societal waves. These are paths and, credentials of different eras and eras to come. Maybe it's just about wanting to be the true, wanting to be the true version of who you are, and then wanting to no longer, be an actor or a people pleaser or, any kind of sugared up person that may not fit in. It's not about filling spaces or voids or trying to demonstrate oneself out. It's just trying to trust that which is actually true on the soul level. And that really would probably take a very long time for some people. But of course, we're in Pisces, which is the shortcut to getting to those states. And sometimes there are tears, sometimes there is just pleasure or laughter. Sometimes there could be a memory of being a child, wearing funny socks, sitting by the fire somewhere, camping. It is sometimes just very, very easy little tiny memories that make you feel something. It could be a smell of a tree, it could be a way that the raindrops fall. These are very simple, tiny little question marks, these are feelings. When a child asks why, why does this leaf smell like this? Or like, what is this bug? What is this? It's all very, very kind and quaint, and it's very, very sort of cuddly. It's very, very pleasurable. It's just very soft. It's very, sentimental, and then finding out where those little doors inside of you, where those little portals, where those little windows where you once used to hide as a kid, where those little spaces where you used to really love to be, and maybe for now it may not resonate, or maybe even it will hurt, and you're saying, oh, this is so wasteful, all this la la la. It's like, where's my achievement? Well, this is what you're not listening. So like, this is the thing basically, is to try to credit how much purity, okay, you've got in your soul. What is the purity of your heart? Not necessary, but okay, let's go there. The weighing up of a heart against a feather in the land of the dead, in Egypt. They would weigh, before the person went into underworld after death, they would weigh the heart against a feather. Okay. So the heart had to be light as a feather, meaning, so a purified heart, okay? So that's the thing, it's like, this is what we're doing in a way, so you want to make sure that your heart is like a feather. If you're really into that, mumbo jumbo esoteric stuff, here it is, I'm trying to be human here and express it to you with human things, and you're like, no, I want something fancy. Okay, here you are. Point of death. Okay. The heart. Does it equate to a feather? Probably not. So let's equate it to the feather. So this is basically what you want to do during Pisces. And then eventually what we want to basically bring in here is a lot of uniqueness. I want to bring in a lot of color, a lot of things, of course. You can do anything you like with your personality. You can use your energy, you can use your feelings. Sometimes people have a very unique or wild way that they connect things up in Pisces. Some people have a lot of alchemy going on during this time, and they can make a world. They can heal themselves too. I always say, if you have a choice of what you're going to do, rather take care of the crap you can't control in your life. Like you got some crazy stuff in your life, control things, like just be good to what you've got, clean up your house, do some errands, clean your body, be good to your soul, all of that, rather than say make a new business. Or sometimes people actually, during this particular year, people can make really good businesses during Pisces. But it's just really important to see how you can do this, so that you're not in constant debts everywhere, everything is in critical states. So it's just important to be kind of fun and good. Say if you are making cool steps, that's cool, but making it very, very clear that you're not gonna do this with grit teeth and with a tight body and with all your muscles straining and pushing. And I hope that the hypervigilance is gone. I had a person come in for reading recently, and just the amount of heart palpitations and frustration and the deep yearning for change, was just very hard to see. It's very, very difficult if you have constant fatigue and then constant need to work and to do something and to prove yourself to someone else and someone else again, so all of it basically has to eventually become no longer ambitious for you and no longer part of your family tree or neighborhood. So this need to criticize yourself, to treat yourself cruelly, to be cruel to your parents or your family members, to be part of a cruel, backward world where you have to work all the time and rush everywhere. You just have to know that this is just not where life happens. This is not where the magic happens. It just isn't. So it's just about dragging your energy out of these very tortured states. So it's basically taking yourself out of anything strenuous, and eventually just learning how to depend on more simple things. As for example, okay, I can't afford that. It's like, do you need it? No, but I want it. Do you need it? I don't need it. Okay, great, then you don't need it. Just take good care of what you've got going on, okay? You don't want to do it, okay? You don't want to do it. You don't have to do it. So it's just about being more silky smooth. It's about being passive, and then also letting a lot of other people just leave your life. It's nice to no longer have that hatred against your ex or bombard your friend with compliments who doesn't want to see you usually, and just basically politely stop any contact with somebody who's been bad to you, rude to you, anyone who's been ripping you off or telling people wrong things about you, and just making it very, very, very obvious that you intend on a successful life. And that means giving away all your heartache and all of your association, you know, to the world of people being this or that, eventually just has to be allowed to let go. So basically what you have to do is you have to make it very clear that you don't intend on suffering, that you don't enjoy it, that it is not part of your field, that you don't want to hurt anybody as well, that you're not intending for other people to treat you unkindly through some kind of self-imagined identity. And also you don't want them to use you. You know, actually really was shocked. I had a lot of that in my system recently. It's funny, it's actually not that hard to spot. When you're actually letting someone else be incredibly harsh to you because you almost believe that they should be. Sometimes we do this for many different reasons. You know, it's more complicated than it seems, you know, so just basically you remove your soul from doing that to yourself. Okay, so sometimes it's not necessarily he did it to me, she did it to me. It's like I've done this to myself. You know, and then you really need to release all the systems and all the family situations and things that would have made you responsible for something you were not responsible for and such. So that's the thing. That's the thinking pattern, is to try to get yourself out of animosity with yourself, trying to get yourself out of confusion with yourself and other people so that you don't destroy yourself anymore. You know, that's the main thing about Pisces, is to also leave all, you know, connections, all philosophies, all groups and people that have always wanted to also destroy you or other people in the process, you know, so that's the whole thing. And eventually, like, all the philosophies, you know, and all the creative connections, or even, you know, colorful to do connections as well. Some people will want to do a lot during this month anyway, even though it's not the best time, but, you know, it's not too bad a time either. It may be eventually come to a nice, pure place. And the waters, you know, Pisces, the most powerful ones in the zodiac, would need you to eventually stop quite a lot to learn about maybe something that you want to do, you know. So what I usually have done is I've stopped anything I could in Pisces, so that in Aries I had just the one thing that I actually really wanted. But that doesn't often work. It's just that these different ideas, this and that, bits and bobs, sometimes makes it a little harder to choose a more broader, stronger, and deeper path in Aries. And what I've noticed, what I've done like this year and the last, is made it a very big, special kind of like a showcase for me, that I wasn't gonna build anything after Capricorn and just slowly allow to release gently into Pisces. And then in Pisces, a lot of karmic changes have come both times, and then I would just have to kind of almost biologically re-identify, almost like from the inside of my body, get to see what Aries would be. So Aries stopped being about the head and what I think I know. It stopped being about knowledge. It made it more interesting to be from the body, so like what I felt, or what I kind of knew the urge, like from the planet, was within my soul, you know, from the planet. So that was quite interesting actually, last year especially. So maybe for you it may be a different thing. It could be lots of different things, but maybe for me it's kind of just like about making it sure that you have a clear path when we start the year on the 21st, 22nd, so that you're not like kind of caught offline, like, whoa, caught off the beat. It's like, whoa, it's the beginning of the year, it's Aries. Well, yeah, equinox will measure the point where we actually have to, now it's kind of hard, we have to look at things now and here, and there's no more like it's just this is that, and you're looking at it and your eyes also, because we have Jupiter and Gemini, would just be like, whoa, like the eyes is just almost like as if everything awakes. There could be also like a big awakening in people. There could be a sudden understanding, a sudden sense of achievement, or a sudden sense of recognition of how things are going. Maybe the public arena or the political arena may have a big shift, may take a big shift. Maybe there could be some kind of power coming from the people. There could be a lot of changes. There could be a sudden sobering and a big like, hey. And now, like here's a thing that happens with humans, and it's always the same. It's always like, you owe me, someone owes me. How dare they do this? How dare she do that, or he do this? And this is the worst time to spend on paradoxes and on arguments. Aries is the best time, holiest sign, absolutely most amazing time to start things up, to do things sometimes again if you really want to do something again. Although, it's already been, why would you want to do it again? Some people really, they don't really think that they can do anything else, so, there's so many reasons why people can only do this or that. There's so many reasons why some people are limited, and it's like a very long, complicated topic as to what for someone would try to do the same thing again and fail, and do again and fail. It's a very special karma why people do that, and maybe it's not really worth the audio to talk about it, because it's just a drainer just thinking about it. But many people like to do things that are obvious. They are also very afraid of what is the truth, and they get really complicated, and they spaz out, and their brain is all just in riddles, and they don't get anything that's happening, and they don't know how to stop these neurotic issues. And that's what for. It's not gonna ever change their situation. It's not gonna ever be uncomplicated. So basically what you want to do is you want to go the other way and make it more like you are flying through life, and it just happens to work, and there's lots of synchronicity, and anything and everything gels, and all of that which you needed got handed to you, and you somehow show up at the right place, and people are just correct, and it just happens to be so. And how to make sure this happens is sometimes it is about having good tribal karma, and some of the time it's not. It's about making sure you know how you're feeling in the moment. So a lot of Aries is very bodily. It has to do with just bodily activity, bodily joy, a certain type of bodily intelligence, rigidity, understanding what is and what isn't yours, what is and what isn't selfish or selfless, So it's just about knowing how to really understand things just through what is happening within you, and learning about you and how you feel, and letting your feelings, not selfishness in this like really evil way, ever. It's not about that. It's just perception of self, or like the breath of self, or the motion of self. Learning about how it sort of does its thing, and letting it be the power that teaches you, so the body is no longer seen as a stupid machine that doesn't do what I want it to do. Never, ever, ever do that to yourself. And that's the number one mistake I think most people that listen to my material, that's the number one thing that it seems everybody's thinking. about themselves and their bodies. It's just about leaving it alone and just learning about the grand, ancient, super unique and interesting world of the body. It is so unique and ancient. It is so interesting what it is and how much it can show you if you just leave it alone, like stop pushing it and just feel what it has to say. And it has like so much global wisdom, it has so much genetic wisdom, it has so many mysteries that are more than the whole library of anything, you know, the library of Alexandria or whatever I don't even know. Do you know that actually I've never really read any books? I'll tell you, I think I published 15. And I write readings for people, some are like 30 pages long. I can write 30 pages for a person normal. Okay, that's like, yeah, this is me for like 9 years writing. Okay, I've never really liked reading books. I think I've actually finished maybe 2 books in my life. I think I've actually sat down and in English, I think I read 2 books. And then I felt nostalgic about my mom and I read like 4 Russian books. I think it was, something spiritual, but not really. I never read anything. I was like refusing to read since I was a child. Honestly, refusing. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like the library that I use is my body. That's the library, you know. So that's the thing, basically. Aries is the library of your physical, sometimes people would say visual self. And they're not wrong as well, because it's kind of, everything's flat and simplified during Aries. So yeah, it's just like your body, how it feels, how it looks, you know, how spunky you feel. And that basically is it. So that concludes the month of March, you know. So it's just important to feel zany. And yeah, sure, it could be cool and philosophical, but trying to eventually get rid of the complexity that we're going through in Pisces and, you know, all of those feelings and emotions and crazy things, and go into like a more spunky and more involved and more happy and more interested and curious energy, which is what Aries really works through. That's what fuels the essence. And if you'd like to know, the more essence you can preserve in like Aquarius, even Capricorn, like later signs, Aquarius, okay, fine, elder signs, the less likely you're going to be sore and ill and gray and Aries. You don't want to start Aries going, oh God, you know, my neighbors are making noises again, you know. Basically what you want to be is maybe untraceable and allow yourself to lay low a little bit, you know, if you can, in the last sign, okay, of Pisces. So you're not, you know, so you're not like, how can I say, disturbing any peace of anybody or yourself. So that when we are going into Aries is a very big contrast between Pisces and Aries, obviously, yeah. So this is the new year, so you get yourself that break, and then the chance to shine is very huge. So the best choice is to go right to the optimum. So you're going right to the primary colors. And that means it's just ABC, primary colors, 1, 2, 3, happy-go-lucky, here I am, everything's beautiful, I love my life, you know, that kind of thing. And it doesn't have to be anything else. It never had to be anything else. So you don't have to think, oh, how can I make me important? How can I make me do this or that? The best choice is to get to the point of such purity and innocence in Pisces, yeah. To get to the point of such like almost like sogginess, that when Aries comes, that you just go right up in there to the optimum space, to the optimum path. You know, and it's not about thinking with your head what that is. Sometimes it may just happen. And it's just about being brilliant. So if you even, I'm not sure, like, what is the result I'm going to get? It's not about results. How you do Aries often is what is going to happen at least for about half a year for you. Like more than that, like 8 or 9 months. How you do Aries, is it like how you do Aries, how you are energetically, what you think about, how you dress, what you feel, how you act, how you set yourself up is like a really big deal. And then like for the next, maybe sometimes even year or even year and a bit, you have an echo of how you spent Aries, what you did, what you said, how you acted, how you went about your day, what you concentrated your energy on, how you spent your money. So it's very, very nice to make it very, very, very specific, that you're not going to have a sucky, bad, weird, deformed Aries month. You have to make a very, very strict choice to give it all, but by pulling yourself to pieces and doing God knows what in Pisces, you will not have enough stamina, or you will not have enough energy or essence to carry into Aries. So what you can be is proud and thankful, you know, of your days. You can do anything you can to patch up your network of friends, or you can patch up your relationship. You can try to help your mom or your dad. You can do something. You can do some karma yoga, you know, you can help someone. Yeah, you can feel, sometimes you can just sleep it off, you can rest, you know, you can have a day away. Very nice to do absolutely nothing. If you can afford to do nothing, you are a wealthy person. If you can afford to do nothing, like for as many days as you like, wow, you're very wealthy. And then eventually when we go into Aries, you have saved enough stamina, saved enough of your body, you know, saved enough of your health, so that you can go right in there and shine to the biggest capacity possible for yourself today, you know, which is kind of the point, you know. Very important shift coming, and the equinox now will be also telling you more about it when the time comes. Thank you very much. I hope that you have a wonderful March, and check out my Patreon. I will have all the signs up for the month ahead on there, as I always do. Thank you. Bye.